Imagine waking up tomorrow morning with a mind as calm as a still lake. The world around you is storming, someone criticizes you unfairly. A colleague undermines you. Your family pressures you. And society itself seems to demand more than you can give. Yet your inner state remains unshaken. Their words strike like raindrops on water. But they ripple and disappear without ever reaching the depths of who you are. Now pause and ask yourself, how different would your life be if you carried this kind of inner calm everywhere? What choices would you make? What fears would lose their power over you? What dreams would you finally have the courage to pursue if no insult, no rejection, no disappointment could disturb your center? Most of us live the opposite way. We hand over the keys to our peace every day without realizing it. A stranger cuts us off in traffic, and our mood is hijacked for hours. One harsh word from a boss echoes in our minds until nightfall. A friend forgets to call, and suddenly our sense of worth collapses. It's as though the whole world has been granted permission to control our inner state. And so we live at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, and actions. But Buddhism offers us a different path. It doesn't promise a life without storms. Storms will come, and they will keep coming. Instead, it teaches us how to be the lake, steady, reflective, undisturbed. This isn't about escape from the world, nor is it about numbing ourselves to pain. It's about cultivating a resilience so deep that life cannot shake it. In today's exploration, here on Dharma Veins, we will walk together into 6 ancient Buddhist lessons that hold the power to transform how you respond to the world. These lessons are not abstract philosophy locked away in monasteries, they are practical, lived truths that can be applied in the boardroom, at the dinner table, and even in the most private corners of your mind. Each of these 6 lessons is like a tool, simple, timeless, and powerful. When practiced, they allow you to step off the endless roller coaster of reactivity and into a place of steady clarity. No longer tossed around by every insult or disappointment, you begin to live from the quiet confidence of knowing that your peace rests in your hands, not in the unpredictable hands of others. But here's what makes this journey truly fascinating. Among the 6 lessons, there is one that serves as the very root of them all. Lesson number 5. Think of it as the foundation stone. Without it, the other 5 are like branches without a trunk. With it, the others don't just work, they flourish. I won't spoil it just yet, but I'll give you this. When you reach lesson 5, you'll understand why the Buddha placed ethics and integrity at the very core of a stable life. If you practice that one well, the rest will naturally unfold with ease and power. Now, before we dive into the teachings themselves, let's set the stage with a simple but uncomfortable truth. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Every human being, whether a king or a peasant, whether a billionaire CEO or a monk in robes, will encounter loss, failure, and insult. History is filled with such examples. Think of Abraham Lincoln, ruthlessly mocked, politically defeated countless times, yet somehow unshaken in his resolve to lead a fractured nation. Or Nelson Mandela, who endured decades of unjust imprisonment but emerged without hatred, carrying instead the vision of reconciliation. These figures were not immune to pain, but they mastered the art of not multiplying their suffering. They learned, consciously or not, the very principles Buddhism has preserved for over 2.500 years. So let me ask you again, what if you could live like that? What if you could walk into the same office, the same family gatherings, the same unpredictable world tomorrow morning, and no matter what came your way, praise or blame, gain or loss, pleasure or pain, you remained grounded and free? That's exactly what these 6 Buddhist lessons are designed to cultivate. And as we explore them, you'll discover that they are not about rejecting life or suppressing your emotions. They are about meeting life on its own terms, fully awake, fully engaged, but no longer enslaved by the winds of circumstance. You might be wondering, is this really possible for someone like me? The truth is, these teachings were never meant only for monks or sages. The Buddha himself lived in the middle of human drama, politics, betrayals, family conflicts, even attempts on his life. His teachings arose not in a vacuum but in the midst of noise and chaos. If they worked then, they can certainly work now. In our age of constant notifications, relentless news cycles, and the daily stress of modern life, over the next half hour, we'll step inside these timeless lessons. With each one, I'll not only explain the principle but also give you a way to practice it right away. Think of it as training your mind the way you might train your body, small daily repetitions that, over time, build a strength that cannot be shaken. By the end of this journey, you'll have a set of tools you can carry with you anywhere. Tools that help you stand like a rooted tree in a storm. Bend but never break. Respond with compassion instead of reaction. And live with a peace so steady that nothing, not criticism, not rejection, not uncertainty, can truly harm you. And remember, lesson number 5 is the root. Miss it, and the others will remain fragile. Master it, and the other 5 will become second nature. That's the open loop I invite you to hold in your mind as we begin. So take a deep breath, settle in, and prepare to see the world differently. The storms will still come, but by the time we finish, you'll know how to face them with the calm and quiet strength of the still lake within you. Lesson 1. No one can truly hurt you. In early Buddhist texts, the Buddha often described what is called the 2 arrows, SN 36.6. The first arrow is unavoidable. It represents the natural pain of life, sickness, aging, loss, criticism. These are part of the human condition. But the second arrow is self-inflicted. It is the anger, resentment, or endless replaying of the wound in our minds. The first arrow hurts, but the second arrow prolongs the suffering. Think of it like this: a great oak tree in the middle of a storm. The wind shakes its branches. Rain lashes its trunk, but because its roots go deep, it does not break. Life's storms will come, but whether we are uprooted or remain standing depends on our response, not the storm itself. This principle isn't just abstract philosophy. It shows up in the lives of powerful figures we all know. Consider Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years imprisoned under brutal conditions. That was the first arrow, pain no one could avoid. But when he emerged, he made a conscious choice not to shoot himself with the second arrow of hatred and revenge. Instead, he responded with reconciliation. That's why he became not just a leader of South Africa, but a moral compass for the world. From a practical standpoint, the Buddha's teaching is this: the world may sting us, but we decide how deep the wound goes. No one can truly harm us unless we give them permission to live rent-free in our minds. To cultivate this resilience, modern mindfulness teachers recommend a short practice known as RAIN. Recognize what you're feeling. Allow it to be present, without suppression. Investigate where it shows up, in the body, in the thoughts. Non-identify, remind yourself. This is a passing state, not who I am. Just 2 minutes of RAIN when you're upset can shift you from reactivity to clarity. The key message is simple yet profound. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It is not what others say or do that defines our peace, it is how we choose to respond. Lesson 2. See everyone as your teacher. In Buddhist training, one of the most transformative shifts is learning to see every person we encounter as a teacher. This idea is beautifully illustrated in a classic monastic story. A young monk once asked his teacher how to find wise masters. The teacher led him through a busy market and said, "They are all around you." The generous merchants were teaching compassion. The impatient customers were teaching patience. The indifferent strangers were teaching self-reliance. From that day forward, the monk understood that the whole world was his classroom. This perspective can be framed simply: behavior of others, right pointing arrow lesson, right pointing arrow wise response. When someone shows kindness, the lesson is generosity, and the wise response is gratitude and imitation. When someone is rude, the lesson is patience, and the wise response is calm restraint. When someone ignores us, the lesson is self-reliance, and the wise response is inner strength rather than craving approval. We see echoes of this principle in the lives of global figures. Take Abraham Lincoln, for example. Throughout his presidency he was surrounded by rivals, critics, and even members of his own cabinet who often opposed him. Instead of treating them as enemies, he learned from them, absorbing different perspectives, practicing restraint, and ultimately becoming a stronger, more unifying leader. His ability to treat adversaries as teachers gave him a depth of character that still inspires generations. For personal practice, a simple exercise is to end each day by writing down 3 teachers you met. It could be the colleague who challenged your idea, reminding you to stay humble. It could be the stranger who cut you off in traffic, giving you a chance to practice patience. Or it could be a friend who showed you kindness, teaching you how generosity feels when received. The key message is this: the whole world is a classroom. If we approach life this way, every encounter, pleasant or difficult, becomes part of our spiritual education. Instead of reacting defensively, we move with curiosity, openness, and resilience. Over time, we stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start seeing, "This is happening for me." Lesson 3. Accept the present. Release the past. At the heart of Buddhist philosophy lies the teaching of dependent origination, that all things arise and pass away through conditions. Nothing stands still, everything exists in flux. When we resist this truth, clinging to what has already slipped through our fingers, we create unnecessary suffering. A traditional story captures this well. A young monk once carried a bowl of water up a steep hill. Halfway up, he stumbled, spilling much of it along the path. He lamented the loss, but his teacher pointed to the trail where small flowers had begun to bloom from the spilled drops. What looked like a mistake had quietly given life to beauty. Acceptance means learning to see the flowers instead of only the loss. Think of it like rowing a boat in a strong current. If you insist on rowing against the flow, frustration and exhaustion are inevitable. But if you align with the river's direction, you conserve your energy and move with grace. Acceptance is not passivity, it is intelligent alignment with reality. World leaders have embodied this principle in moments of profound challenge. Consider Franklin D. Roosevelt after contracting polio. He could not change the fact of his paralysis, that was the spilled water. But he chose to focus on what remained possible, building resilience, refining his voice, and strengthening his leadership. In doing so, he became the president who carried America through the Great Depression and World War II. His acceptance was not surrender, it was the foundation for wise and decisive action. As a daily practice, try this. Write down one event you cannot change. Then, directly beneath it, write one small action you can take today to move forward. This simple shift trains the mind to stop wrestling with what is gone and to engage wisely with what is here. The key message is clear. Acceptance is not resignation. It is the fertile ground from which wise action can grow. By releasing the grip on the past, we free our hands to shape the present. Lesson 4. Be grateful for what you have. In the Dhammapada verse 204, the Buddha declared, "Health is the greatest gift. Contentment the greatest wealth." Gratitude and contentment are intertwined. To be grateful is not merely to say thank you for the extraordinary moments, but to recognize the ordinary as extraordinary. Sunlight spilling through your window, the aroma of a warm cup of tea, the laughter of someone you love, these are not small things. They are the texture of life itself. When we overlook these daily blessings, our minds default to scarcity, what we lack, what we missed, what others have that we do not. But when we pause to acknowledge even the simplest gifts, we rewire the mind toward sufficiency. Gratitude transforms the restless hunger of not enough into the fullness of already abundant. History offers striking examples. Consider Queen Elizabeth II. For decades, she carried the burden of monarchy through war, political upheaval, and personal trials. Yet those who knew her closely often noted her steady appreciation for routine, for duty, for the presence of family. Her gratitude for stability and service gave her a remarkable calm that anchored a nation. Gratitude is also deeply practical. A simple practice can reshape an entire day. Spend 1 minute each morning and 1 minute each evening writing down 3 things you are thankful for. They may be as humble as the taste of fresh bread or as profound as surviving an illness. Over time, this exercise trains the mind to scan for abundance rather than absence. The key message is this: gratitude turns a mind of scarcity into a mind of wholeness. It shifts the question from, "What am I missing?" to, "What is already here that sustains me?" And when we live from that recognition, even the simplest day becomes rich beyond measure. Lesson 5. The power of ethical living. Buddhism teaches that true stability comes not only from meditation but from how we live our daily lives. At the foundation are the 5 precepts, commitments to refrain from harming, stealing, sexual misconduct, false speech, and intoxication. Among the Eightfold Path, right speech is singled out because words have immense power. They can heal or they can wound. They can build trust or destroy it. Think of ethics as the roots of a bamboo grove. Above ground, bamboo sways in the fiercest wind. It bends, but it does not break. Its strength lies in the unseen network of roots beneath the soil. In the same way, When our actions are grounded in honesty, compassion, and respect, we can endure life's storms without being uprooted. Consider the example of Mahatma Gandhi. His power did not come from military force but from moral force. He lived by principles of nonviolence, truthfulness, and restraint. Because his roots were ethical, his influence could not be shaken, even by the might of the British Empire. Gandhi showed the world that ethical living is not weakness, it is unshakable strength. From a practical perspective, one way to cultivate this is to take a simple challenge for 24 hours. Avoid speaking negatively about anyone who is not present. Notice how often the temptation arises to criticize or gossip, and use those moments as opportunities to pause, breathe, and redirect your words. This exercise not only protects others from harm but also protects your own mind from the toxins of resentment and judgment. The key message is this: ethics are the roots that keep you standing tall. Without them, the storms of anger, greed, or dishonesty can topple even the strongest among us. But with them, you bend gracefully, never broken, and become a source of stability for others as well. Lesson 6. The Art of Letting Go. In the Dhammapada verses 212 to 216, the Buddha reminds us, from attachment arises sorrow, from attachment arises fear. For one who is free from attachment, there is no sorrow. How could there be fear? Clinging is the root of much of our suffering. We grasp at outcomes, at people, at identities, believing that if we hold tight enough, we can prevent change. But the tighter the grip, the greater the pain when life inevitably shifts. The image is simple: a clenched fist versus an open palm. With the fist, tension builds, muscles ache, and nothing new can enter. With the open palm, the hand is relaxed, free, and able to receive. Letting go does not mean giving up, it means loosening our grasp so that life can flow naturally. Leaders who have faced monumental transitions illustrate this truth. When George Washington voluntarily stepped down after 2 terms as president, he let go of power that he could easily have clung to. By releasing it, he established a precedent of peaceful transition that became one of America's strongest democratic traditions. His act of letting go did not diminish him, it elevated him as a model of restraint and wisdom. To apply this in daily life, try a written exercise. Identify one expectation you've been gripping tightly, perhaps a career milestone, a relationship outcome, or an image of how life should be. Then rewrite it in terms of the minimum you can accept and still live meaningfully. This simple reframing shifts your posture from clenched to open, from brittle to flexible. The key message is this: letting go is not abandonment, it is liberation. By releasing the weight of attachment, we discover that life feels lighter, relationships grow more authentic, and our minds regain spaciousness. Buoyed by this freedom, we can meet change with grace rather than fear. Let's take a moment to bring everything together. We've walked through 6 timeless Buddhist lessons. 1. No one can truly hurt you unless you allow them. 2. Every person is your teacher. 3. Accept the present, release the past. 4. Be grateful for what you already have. 5. Root yourself in ethical living. 6. Master the art of letting go. Each of these is a step toward inner freedom. But remember, the real journey begins when you practice. Peace is not something handed to us from the outside, it is a skill, cultivated patiently, day after day. So here's my invitation: if these teachings touched you, give this video a like, subscribe to Dharma Veins, and share it with someone who might need it right now. And let's make this interactive. In the comments below, tell me, which of the 6 lessons do you feel most called to practice starting today? Your reflections might be the very words someone else needs to hear. Before we close, let us extend a collective prayer. May all beings, especially those enduring the weight of natural disasters, wars, and unimaginable hardships, find refuge in the stillness within. May they discover strength amid chaos, hope amid despair, and peace that cannot be broken by circumstance. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings find peace. May all beings rest in the unshakable calm of the awakened heart. From my heart to yours, thank you for walking this path with me. Until next time, keep training the mind, keep choosing peace, and remember, you already hold the lake of stillness within you.